Good afternoon to everyone. So only 2 students are present today, right? Perumanla Jayanti and TGR Nagar 108643. I don't know. Okay, right. Wait. Right. Today class is, what is that? Noise pollution, right? So noise pollution is a major problem both for human and environment, right? So now let us talk about what is sound. First of all, you see here sound, right? So a vibration that propagates as a mechanical wave of pressure and displacement through some medium is called sound, right? So now some of you might say that noise is same as sound, right? So, but there is a lot of difference between both the terms, that is sound and noise, right? Sound and noise. So what is sound? How do you find sound? So sounds are some kinds of vibrations, right? Some kinds of vibrations. So sound is a vibration. So that propagate as a mechanical wave of pressure and displacement through some medium is called sound, right? So that is simple displacement of any wave. When a wave gets displayed, it produces. So it is a kind of sound, right? So see here. So you see here, these are the vibrations, right? So the sound travel something like this. So that is the compressions are very fraction compressions, and they are very fractions. So alternate compressions and rare fractions is what causes the disturbance, right? So, and this disturbance is nothing but these vibrations are sound, right? So which reaches are here. So sound is anything that we hear, right? So the number of compressions and rare fractions of the air molecules in a unit time, right? So that is referred to as its frequency. What is frequency? So the number of compressions and rare fractions of the air molecules, right? So in a unit, right? In a unit, you remember this word unit. Unit time is referred. So that is as it's called frequency. So frequency is expressed in Hertz. It's called Hertz, right? So which is the same as the number of cycles per second. So humans can detect sounds with frequencies ranging from about 16 to 20,000 Hertz, right? 16 to 20,000 Hertz, right? So then next, so this is sound, right? So what is noise? See here. So, but noise can be defined as an any unwanted sound, right? Any unwanted sound. So the difference between sound and noise actually depends upon the listener and various circumstances, right? So now why do I say that? For example, so the rock music, right? So the rock music can be very, very pleasurable sound to some of you, whereas it may be a very, very annoying noise to another person, right? So this kind of rock music may be very, very hazardous for a particular person who does not like it, right? So, but to the other person, it may sound very, very soothing, right? So the sound and noise may differ, and it may depend on the listener and circumstances, right? Listener and circumstances. So what is the noise? So basically, noise is a unwanted sound, or a sound that is loud to a level that is unpleasant to human ears, causing disturbance, that is called noise, right? That is called noise. So you see, for example, you see here difference between sound. This sound, this is noise, right? So you see here.
Hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, slides are not changing, ma'am.
Slides are not. Yes, Jayanti.
Ma'am, there is only introduction page, ma'am.
Yes.
Introduction slide.
Okay, okay.
Anda Rajita.
Yes, yes. Wait. Sorry. Okay. So you can see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sorry for the interrupt. Okay.
Okay.
Right. You see here difference between sound and noise, right? So this is the sound and this is the noise. So for example, if you take some of the tuning fork, right? Tuning fork. So this is the tuning fork. And if I bang the tuning fork, I will get a sound, right? So now the vibrations will look like something here, right? So this one, right? So the wave pattern will so look something like this, right? So it is a sine wave, right? This is a sine wave. So now the other hand, if I take a hammer, right? So and if I nail a hammer here, then the sound that is produced is not so soothing. So in the kind of wave pattern which I get when I hammer and nail, it will be something like this, right? So that is, it is so distorted. So the wave pattern that is obtained while when I hammer a nail will be very, very disturbed, right? So this is the difference between sound and noise, right? So this kind of noise where this is a sound, right? Sound and noise. So next we are going to here. So noise. Noise, it may refers to loud sound created by humans or machines. So that disrupt the environment and normal living of organisms. So it is the sound created by any of machines, right? Any of machines or human beings. So which is not making the environment little better for the human beings, or it disturbs the environment, right? So most of the people do not consider noise as pollution, but as a part of routine life, right? So noise, the word, it is derived from the Latin, right? Latin word. So that is called nausea, N-A-U-S-E-A. So in the meaning of this word is sound. So that loud sound that may cause sickness. So it can also be considered as the unwanted noise dumped into the atmosphere. So that leads to discomfort and health hazards to the human beings or anybody else. So that can be considered as noise pollution, right? Noise pollution. So what range of noise can be considered as good, and what is the range of the noise for bad, or it can be considered as noise pollution, right? So noise is generally measured in terms of decibels, right? Decibels. So for the normal hearing of noise of the sound, so thus actual unit or actual range is approximately 75 decibels of intensity, right? 75 decibels of intensity. So in this table, you can see that if the noise is below 75 decibel, right? So some of the here, right? So below 75 decibel, it can be considered as better, right? Better. Or sound, it can be considered as the normal sound up to here, right? So while the sound above up to above 75 decibels, it can be considered as noise pollution, right? So from 75 to above 75, right? So you see here. So in this case, if you are doing a normal breathing, right? Normal breathing. So it can produce up to 10 decibel of noise, right? So and rustling leaves and soft whispers. So these can produce 20 to 30 decibels. While refrigerator, they are having almost 40 decibels of noise, right? So the rain can have up to 50 decibels of noise, while conservation or charting, right? It can have up to 60 decibels of noise. So up to here, right? Up to here. Up to here, what is that? 60, right? So up to 60 decibels range is okay, right? So this is good. But you increase the range of the, if you increase the noise, such as automobiles, they produce up to 90 decibels of noise, right? 90 decibels. So which can be considered as noise pollution, right? So automobiles and also trucks, they produce up to 90 decibels of noise, right? So then it comes to the some of the police vans or ambulance, right? Sirens. So siren, which is producing almost 120 to 130. You see here police van, right? 120 to 130 decibels of noise. So these are not good for the human health. From 60 to 120 decibels, right? This one, right? Up to here is okay, right? So 60 to 120 is not good for the human health, right? So this is the one of the checking meter, right? So it is available in websites or something anyway, right? Or medical shops, any. Okay, then next. Now, what are the sources of noise pollution, right? Sources of noise pollution. So the sources of noise, it can be broadly classified into two types. First one is indoor noise pollution and second one is outdoor noise pollution, right? So what is indoor noise pollution? First of all, so indoor sources. So these are some of the indoor sources examples. So indoor sources as the main, such as generated due to various indoor these indoor activities. So the sources will consist of anything in the house, so which is creating some kind of distraction, some kind of noise. So household activities like entertainment equipments in the house, such as TV, radio, and record players, and also some of the domestic gadgets like pressure cookers, vacuum cleaners, and also dryers, coolers, air conditioners, and also washing machines, etc., etc. So if at all they are running in the house, right? So it can be very noisy, right? So and the neighbors are fighting, right? So that is also household sources noise, right? So outdoor. So again, outdoor noise pollution. So it can be divided into two types. So that is industrial sources and non-industrial sources. So these are the indoor sources, right? So it is completed. Then next we are going to outdoor. This outdoor sources, right? So that is divided into industrial sources and non-industrial sources. So first of all, industrial sources. So those are industrials and mining activities. So industrial sources, industries. So various of noise you see here like hammering sounds, whistling sounds, and crushing machine sounds, vibrating sounds. So these are emitted from the industries, right? And also mining activities. Some of the mining pictures you see here. So it include a blasting of rocks, right? Blasting of rocks or drilling of rocks, underground mining activities. So these are some of the examples here. So these are like industries are the manufacturing industries, are the production industries, some kind of, again, some construction, if it is happening in the nearby locality. So that construction work again creates and produce lot of noise. So which is not required and unwanted. So these are some kind of sources from commercial and industrial activities also. So and non-industrial sources. So those are, first one is transportation, right? Or traffic. So in that road traffic, rail traffic, aircraft, right? So these are airplanes and trains, buses, right? So the transportation, again, it is a major area which produces lots of noise which are unwanted, right? So the noise is produced by various vehicles like auto rickshaws, scooters, cars, car horns of the cars and the aircrafts, and also the helicopter. So all these modes of transportation also produces lot of noise. So most of the all transportation generates a lot of noise. So aeroplanes, trains, buses, and other vehicles generate a lot of unwanted sounds, right? So for example, a car horn, right? Car horn produces 90 decibels. How much? 90. And bus produces 100 decibels, right? So it creates a lot of noise pollution. And then next we are going to construction activities. Right? So construction, noise of machines. So tools and loud noise of workers on the sites, right? So this is also one example of the construction activities. And also some of the social events also, right? So social events, you see here. Social events and festival occasions. So those are marriages, religious functions, parties, and events having loudspeakers, right? So any social events or any gathering, so which is happening in a locality, and if you try to sleep, then you will have disturbed sleep, right? So you will not be able to sleep because of that loud noise of any marriage or any function or any party is going on in that place, right? So in such cases, generally a person will face a lot of sleep disturbance, and this will lead to lot of fatigue in the body. And over a period of time, the person may face some of the cardiovascular problems, right? Cardiovascular problems, right? So festival occasions means drum beats, loudspeakers, prayers, and also crackers. So cultural activities such as music from clubs and also festival, including those for hunting, right? So these can be produced more than 100 decibels, right? 100 decibels. So you see the common outdoor sound levels and common indoor levels. So this is some of the examples here. And also some power generations also. So next, health effects on humans, right? Human health. So the excessive noise in the surrounding causes many health-related problems, such as lack of sleep or sleepless night, and hypertension or cardiovascular diseases, anxiety, headaches, deaf, and interference, right? So, and many more health-related troubles, right? So, a person who is exposed to loud sound continuously gets temporary or even permanent impairment of hearing. So that is why your parent asks you to keep the volume low. Why? So when you are using earphones or headset, why? Because so it is causes the noise, right? So the effect is on the human noise that is produced by any kind of sources. So that we just discussed, it decreases the efficiency of human. And how does the efficiency decrease? We are not able to concentrate on their work. And also they have headache. So the next day, if you cannot sleep in the night, so then you will have a sleepless night, right? And also you will not be able to take a rest, and the next day morning, you will not be fresh, right? So inadequacy of sleep can interrupt the normal functioning of the body, that is leading to the discomfort, fatigue, and general moodiness, right? You see here some of the photos. So the loud noise of the aircrafts also, right? Aircraft. So they may temporarily or permanently create some kind of problems in our ears, right? And the person maybe become even, what is that? Deaf. So he may be become over a long period of time. So if a person is continuously exposed to high noise level, then he may have problems. So with his hearing problem, right? Hearing problem. So if he may become temporarily or permanently deaf. So, and also other effects are the interference, right? Interference. So with spoken communication, like as I said, if a person is speaking very loudly, so in telephone or directly, right? So then and if there is another group which is talking softly, right? So they will not able to communicate effectively. So if there is any person in the vicinity who is talking loudly, so because there will be interference, right? There will be interference. So interference is also a problem which is created because of noise, right? And cardiovascular diseases. Also high noise levels, right? High noise levels increase an individual pulse rates. and it causes construction of blood vessels, right? So that's making them vulnerable to hear attacks or high blood pressure, right? BP. So it is being exposed to such noises for more than 8 hours, right? 8 hours a day, it could even be worse, right? So the noise pollution also impacts wildlife. You see here? Right? Wildlife. W-I-L-D-L-I. So wide range of animals, that is including insects, right? Insects and frogs and also birds and also bats. So the sound for a variety of reasons. So noise pollution can interfere with an animal's ability to attract a mate, communicate, navigate, and find food or avoid predators. And thus it can even be an existential threat, that is to vulnerable organisms. So the problem of this noise pollution is especially serious for marine animals. Marine animals, particularly those that rely on echolocation, right? So such as certain whales, WHA, whales and dolphins, right? And much of the world's oceans are polluted with chaotic sounds from ships and seismic tests and also oil drills. So some of the loudest and most detrimental sounds in the sea. So those are from naval sonar devices. So whose noise can travel hundreds of miles through the water, and it is associated with mass stranding of whales and dolphins, right? So this is also effect on the wildlife. And next, EIA methodologies for noise environment. So we have some methods here. So first one is identification of noise impacts of proposed project and preparation of description of existing noise environment conditions, and also procurement of relevant noise standards. You see, standards and guidelines, and also impact prediction, assessment of impact significance, and identification and incorporation of mitigation measures, and finally preparation, right? So preparation, the final environment impact assessment. So this is the final report. So these are some of the methodologies. So you see here some of the noise standards, right? So these are the National Ambient Noise Monitoring Network in some various zones here, right? And category ideal noise level, that is day, that is 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. and night 10 p.m. to 6 p.m. right? And noise level, this is day in the minimum and maximum. So this is also night in minimum, maximum. So this is the industrial area, right? So, and also they are divided into area code also. So area code means industrial area means A, and commercial means B, residential means C, and silent zones means D, right? So industrial category in industrial, so the limits in daytime, that is 75, right? 75 decibels, and nighttime is 70 decibels, right? So this is commercial area in, that is in daytime 65 decibels and nighttime is 55. And in residential areas So the ideal noise levels is in daytime 55 and that nighttime is 45 decibels. In silent zone areas, right? So daytime levels is 50 and nighttime is 40 decibel. So these are the day and nighttime levels of noise. And so this is the minimum and maximum. So minimum daytime, that is 60 to 60.3 to 81, and noise levels night is 56 to 81, right? So this is also same 59.2 to 80 and 57 to 79, 58 to 86 and 52 to 81, 56 to 77, and nighttime in silent zone 51 to 75, that is in nighttime, right? So this is the minimum and maximum levels in day and nighttime noise levels, right? So these are the noise standards, right? So you see here. So number of stations which have not complied to noise limit by some of the cities, right? So you see here, this blue color indicate 2017, right? And orange, yellow is 2018 and 19, right? So this is 2017 to 19 data, right? So you see here, so some of the stations, this is Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Lucknow, and Mumbai. So what is the highest? Highest in the 2017. So this one Chennai and Delhi and Hyderabad, right? So that is 2017. So it gets 9 points. And 2018 highest places is also Chennai, Delhi, right? Chennai, Delhi. And 2019, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad. You see here Hyderabad also, right? So this is the data. So variations of the years and the variations of the cities, right? So you see the some of the guidelines for the noise levels, right? So this is WHO, right? WHO means World Health Organization. So these standards recommended to health criteria, that is in daytime, it is very safe, 55, and nighttime 45. Right? In Germany noise level guidelines is in daytime 45 and nighttime 35. And Australia also. Australia in daytime 45 decibels and nighttime 35 decibels. And Japan is environmental quality standards. So it is in daytime 45 and nighttime 35 decibels. In Korea environmental quality goals, that is in daytime 50 decibels and nighttime 45 decibels, right? In Philippines environmental quality noise standards are in daytime is 50 decibels and nighttime is 40 decibels. Malaysia. So Malaysia planning guidelines for environmental noise limits and control. So that noise levels in daytime is 65 and nighttime is 60. So this is the highest, that is in Malaysia, right? So these are the some of the standards, noise standards. And you see limits for permissible noise exposure according to OSHA. OSHA means Occupational Safety and Health Administration, right? So this is also one of the you see here standards of noise level, right? So this is only daytime and nighttime, right? So this is for hours. You see here hours. So 8 hours. 8 hours noise level permissible limit is 90 decibels. For 6 hours, 92 decibels according to OSHA, right? So for 4 hours, that is noise level permissible is 95. For 3 hours, 97. In 2 hours, 100 decibels. In 1.5 hours, 102. 1 hour, 105 decibels. For 30 minutes, 110 decibels. In 15 minutes, 115 decibels. So these are the limits for permissible noise levels according to Occupational Safety and Health Administration, right? So you see some of the tables here, right? NIOSH and national, right? So this is OSHA, right? Wait, I will upload another PPT. So are you able to see this PPT?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So now we are going to biological environment, right? So the human population. So in that vegetation and wildlife impact assessment. So in that the human population. So that is growing, right? Wait. Population is growing. So at an unexpected rate, and this is giving a lot of stress. So it is exerting stress and causing change in the environment as well as its resources for both plants and animals, right? So due to human interplay and anthropogenic activities, vegetation and wildlife resources. So these are being threatened. So the anthropogenic activities such as fishing, gathering, right? Fishing, gathering and fire and overgrazing and human settlements, etc., etc. So these are the anthropogenic activities. So it have caused tremendous ecological effects on vegetation as well as wildlife, right? Vegetation as well as wildlife. So the human beings, in order to fulfill their material ambitions, so they have depleted the natural, renewable and non-renewable resources. So, and these are assets that are necessary for our survival, right? Survival. So globally, if you see now the human populations, so these are increasing continuously. Increasing continuously. And it is expected that by 2150 year, right? So the population will reach up to 10 billions. So which is really an alarming levels, right? So due to overpopulation and increasing demand of urbanization, in each year, 20 to 30 million people migrate from rural areas to urban areas. So the overpopulation and poverty leads to urbanization and industrial revolutions. And they have major impact on the global health and global warming, food scarcity, and environment health also. So all these factors have negative impacts on the vegetation and the wildlife, right? So now in general, vegetation is the plant life of any region, and it is the most copious biotic element of the biosphere. So without vegetation, we can't survive, right? We can't live. So this regulates the flow of the biogeochemical cycles, and the most critically for the water cycle. Remember this, water cycle. And also hydrological cycle. And the carbon and nitrogen oxygen cycle. Carbon, nitrogen, oxygen in the water cycle. And then you have the phosphorus and the sulfur cycles also. And it is very, very important in the global energy balances, right? Global energy balances. So global vegetation is a primary source of oxygen, right? Primary source of oxygen. So it plays critical role in the biosphere, right? So at all possible spatial scales and disruption in these biogeochemical cycles. So that will lead to elevation in the ozone concentration and also to the ecosystem acidification, right? So vegetation, this serves as a wildlife habitat and energy source. So the impact of environment on vegetation, so that can lead to a decline, for example, in the amphibians, right? Amphibian populations. So in the death of the coral reefs and global warming, and so on, which ultimately decrease the biodiversity, right? So next, environmental degradation. So what is this environmental degradation? So this is a serious threat, right? So, and it is leading to the wildlife extinction, which has a fatal impact on the human race, right? So the environmental pollutants, it can alter the wildlife viability, right? Wildlife viability. So it is estimated that in the past 40 years, and 50% of the total wildlife has been lost, right? So, and by the year, so recent year, now it is 2020. So they are saying that 68% of the wildlife, it will be either extinct or we will lose the same. So that means we need to conserve our resources more properly, and we need to manage them well, right? And so this is the publication. So one of the publication in PNA's journal. So in the 2018, a report, right? A research report. So that was published in PNAS journal, one of the science journal. So it showed that till date 83% of wild animals and 80% of marine animals and 50% of plants and fishes. So it have been lost due to human civilization. So from the beginning, like the amount of species diversity that existed, but now that has been reduced, right? Reduced. So this is the environmental degradation and biological concepts and terms. So let us now see some biological concepts and terms which are useful for your study, right? So the analysis of environmental and occupational impact on vegetation and wildlife. So this will be done with the help of systems like environmental laws and mathematical matrix models, measurement tools, risk assessment, analytical techniques, and so on, some of the important biological concepts and terms, right? So in terms, the biological assessment. So it is an assessment of the condition of any water body. So by sampling the species, so that spend all are part of their lives in that water body. So then there are biological indicators, right? So biological indicators, they are generally certain group of organisms, right? So that can be employed to assess the condition of an ecosystem or environment. So, and it is depending on the type of the water being sampled and biological indicators. So, used in the survey, it may include the following the reference sites, right? So, basically, they are the data collected at reference sites and they provide a benchmark for assessing the biological condition of the survey sites, right? And the reference sites. So reference sites are those sites which have not been disturbed by the anthropogenic activities or human stress, and they have been influenced to some extent by human activities, and they represent our best approximation of the natural conditions. So now data from the reference sites, it can be used to develop management targets for protection and restoration of aquatic resources. So for example, fish. So in benthic macroinvertebrates and amphibians, microphytes and birds. So fish, it can be trout and the sunfish, the perch and the salmons, right? And also on the peripherals like algae, right? Algae. And amphibians like frogs and salamanders. And microphytes like aquatic plants and birds like residential or migratory birds. So these are some of the examples. And species. A species, it is basic unit of classification and a taxonomic rank and as well as a unit of biodiversity. And community, it is also called the biological community. So in biology, and an interacting group of various species in a common location. And habitat. So for example, community, so forest, right? Forest of trees and undergrowth plants, right? So that are inhabited by animals and rooted in soil containing bacteria and fungi. So that constitutes a biological community, right? So habitat, so it is a type of natural environment, right? Natural environment, and which is particular species of organism is living. So it is characterized by both physical and biological features. So, and a species habitat is those places where it can find food, shelter, and protection, and mates for the reproduction, right? So, and these are the endangered species. So, it is a species of animal or plants. So, that is seriously at the risk of extinction, right? So, impact assessment, it is a process that can help in decision making, and that is to ensure that the project in the program options under considerations, those are environmentally and socially sound and sustainable. So it is concerned with identifying, predicting, and evaluating the foreseeable impacts, both beneficial and adverse. So beneficial and adverse of the public and private activities, developmental activities, and also mitigation measures, and aims to eliminate or minimize the negative impacts, and also optimize some of the positive impacts, right? So through the EIA techniques, so that vary from country to country, in organization to organization. So there are stages that are common to most of the EIA processes, right? So the role of flora and fauna investigation in EIA, it is to provide sufficient data to allow a complete identification, prediction, and evaluation of potential impacts of proposed developments upon that flora and fauna, right? So, and mitigation measures and procedures. So that is a development of the mitigation plan for the prevention of the loss of flora as well as fauna at that construction site. So in the appropriate measures for the mitigation of habitat loss or degradation, all this depend upon the habitat type of the specific degrading activities, stress processes, and inhabited impacts. So for a mitigation to be successful, the ecological integrity of that habitat also should be maintained, right? So this can be accomplished directly by preservation measure that avoids impacts. In other cases, careful mitigation plans, it can reduce or eliminate impacts on the integrity of the habitats, right? So mitigations will also involve the guidelines to the address the habitat impacts of destruction, fragmentation, simplification, and also degradation, right? So that can include the following, like for example, preservation, right? So preservation, the outright purchase or the set aside of the land, and partial purchase through conservation easements, long-term leases, or the management agreements, right? So what are the management practices? So those are, it can also involve the rotation and methods of the timber harvesting, right? Timber harvesting, and timings and extent of grazing, and control of pollution, and also elimination of the structures. So these are some of the management practices. And restoration. So there can be direct manipulation through seeding and planting, physical or chemical treatments, and also creation of wetlands and control of pollution, and removal of barriers to fish migration, and control of livestock access to riparian areas. So riparian areas means plant inhabitants and communities along the river margins and banks, right? So those are called riparian areas, right? And compensation. So in compensation, so those are purchase of lands of comparable habitat size and quality, and also provision of financial restitutions. So then the mitigation principles. So the development of this should be based on the thorough understanding of the site conditions in the activities which are impacting habitats, right? So, but nonetheless, certain principles of ecological management which should be followed when specific mitigation measures are to be developed. So now these are the following mitigation principles. So that will apply to all the habitat conservation efforts, right? So those are baseline of the base mitigation goals, right? Base mitigation goals and objectives on a landscape analysis that will consider the needs of that region and mimic the natural processes and promote native species, and also protect the rare and ecological important species and communities. So these are some of the mitigation principles, right? So because certain species, it would be growing only in certain regions, and there may be rare and they may be ecological important. So we need to protect those species, right? So then minimize the fragmentation of the habitat and promote connectivity of the natural areas and maintain structural diversity of the habitats and promote natural diversity in that area. For the management of site specific environmental conditions and impact of the specific activity causing degradation, and also monitoring. So monitoring the habitat impacts from activities and thereby plan the mitigation processes. So there are also alternate means of addressing the impacts, right? So like knowing. So knowing the impact, the next step is to determine what can be done about it. So identify several means of addressing this impact, right? And one thing is doing nothing about it, right? One thing is doing nothing about it. So that can be alternative. So you can have brainstorming sessions, so open dialogues with the stakeholders. So, and there can be surveys, right? Surveys of similar impacts in the some responses. It can also help this process. So, and also innovative solutions can be there, and that should be encouraged and be considered at this stage. So let us take an examples. If you take a wood duck, right? Wood duck as an example. Wood duck. The person or the executive in charge, you know, he notes down the response of the individuals. So that is to create habitats by building the wooden nesting boxes and placing them near the water bodies, right? So one option for the person is to produce this wooden box that is ready for the assembly. So another is he will give funds to an NGO, right? So that is going to conduct certain detailed studies regarding this wood ducks nesting habit, and it will determine the optimal location for the woodland along the this river and then reforestation is done. So one more option is to produce a paper nesting, right? Paper nesting box. So with more open discussions, the list of options it can go on, and finally they can come up with some innovative alternatives. So thereby some numerous options. So it will be available to the policy proponent, and then it can constitute a policy which can ban or limits this wood duck hunting. So it can introduce new subsidy for the reintroduction of wetlands, which can create incentives for the conservation, right? Right. Okay, I will take the class at 3 p.m. Okay, I will continue this, right? So now class is over. So I will tell from this slide, that is 17, this is the cost and benefit of each alternative, right?